On today's episode, we're going to talk about translations. More specifically, translating your novel for a foreign audience. While we want to tackle that US market, it's good to share the love with the rest of the world. So I thought I would share my process and recommendations in translating in a country that is not your native tongue. Hello, hier Lieblings. I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. Today we're talking about book translations. I am in the process of translating my books into both Spanish and German, and I have found the process fascinating. I also want to share my process in case you are also considering tackling a similar project yourself. But before we get started, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell if you haven't already. Here on Adventures of Lamari, we talk about writing, living abroad, and everything in between. First and foremost, unless you are very confident in the language you want to translate to, hire a professional translator. Full stop. I have a Spanish degree and have spent a few years being a translator for a German international company. That being said, even after I translate, that is only the first step of many. I know with today's technology, there are great translation programs, but they're not foolproof. You do need a good command of the language to notice that the program doesn't always translate things correctly. Quick side note, if you are looking for a translation program, I highly recommend DeepL.com. Google translates shit, but DeepL is really good. But again, it's not foolproof. And it's not even consistent. You see, even when you throw your manuscript into a program like DeepL and it spits out a translated version, you have to go through it. As the alpha reader, I then have to decide what I'm going to call things in either German or Spanish, and then go through the whole manuscript to ensure that that word is the same throughout the whole novel. There are two political parties in Rebirth. There's the Federation and the Dominion. What would I translate them to? Federation can be Föderation or Bund, or Dominion can remain Dominion or become Herrschaft. Which one will I choose? Well, you'll have to wait and see. But you see what I mean? It's not enough to just throw a manuscript into a translation program and hope for the best. Language is too fluid for a computer to understand in terms of nuance. Those programs will get you far, but in the end, you will still need a professional or at least a native speaker to proofread it. That will then be my next step. Get a native speaker in Spanish and German to also do a pass. I am fluent in both languages, but I still miss little things, and having a native speaker will help with those details. If you are interested in writing in English and it's not your native tongue, you should also find a native English speaker to help. I have worked with a lot of Germans in helping with their English, but I also have to say I've worked mostly with them in terms of technical writing and genre fiction are completely different skill sets, especially in English. There are different editing styles in American English, and if you hire the right editor, they will know the difference. I have an interview with my own editor where we've talked about these styles. There are editing styles that are specific to technical writing and others that are for genre fiction. I learned MLA in school, but my editor uses Chicago style, and if these names are confusing to you, it's even more of a reason why you need to hire an editor. Once we have gone through these passes, then it will be time for me to hire an editor in these languages to make sure that the grammar is completely clean. Always hire an editor, folks. I know I'm probably opening myself up to criticism by admitting that I have a hand in the process of translating, but I have a feeling that even if I don't say anything, I will probably receive comments anyway. And you know how I know? The comments in the video where I compare the US Constitution and the Deutsche Grundgesetz. Yeah. I have so many comments telling me how wrong my translation is, or that I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever. I don't know. But the truth of the matter is I didn't translate it. I got the official translation from the Bundesministerium der Justiz und für Verbraucherschutz. In fact, the document was translated by Professor Christian Tamuschat, Professor David P. Curie, Professor Donald P. Kommers, and Raymond Kerr in cooperation with the language service of the German Bundestag. And the link for that document is in the description of that episode, but people still don't notice. Honestly, I was flattered because they must have assumed that I had all the time in the world to not only translate the entire Grundgesetz, but then do a video where I compare it with the US Constitution. Trust me, guys, I just did the comparison. That was mental exercise enough. But you see what I mean. Like, I will probably still get crap because, you know, people are going to disagree with how translations are, even if I go through a a professional translator, or if I pick a government issued translation. That's just how it is. So the question is, when will the translated versions be released? I haven't decided yet, but I am also still in the translation process, and with The Last Imperator's release next week, it's not really high on my priority list. But I have been working on it when I have some breathing room between my job and YouTube and writing in general. What about you? Do you write in other languages? What steps do you think are important that should be included? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. It lets me and YouTube know that you like this kind of content and you want to see more. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or you'd like to see a certain topic on this channel. If you want fun escapism, my space fantasy The God Queen is available in ebook, paperback, and hardback. The sequel, The Last Imperator, is also available for pre-order, but everything's in English right now, guys. Sorry. And don't forget to sign up for the TLI pre-sale giveaway. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get the first 6 chapters of The God Queen, as well as the prequel short story, The Knight and the Goddess. So sign up. If you have read any of my work, please leave a review. They really help us authors out, and it is free to do so. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And that's it. Until next time. Adi!